welcome back to the 2020 Back Pocket Game Awards. That we can't call it that. It's the Back Pocket Awards, the 2020 Back Pocket Awards.
You said for excellence previously.
For gaming excellence in video games. It's yeah.
Registered trademark pending.
Thank you very much. That was smooth as silk. This is the award category for today is the games to be looked at. This is the Angus Ronald Memorial Award.
I'm not dead. Well,
I feel
cancelled.
Yeah, I was going to say that sentence got you pretty close. This is for best visual design and graphics. So again, we're not graphics experts. We don't know how to tell the difference between which game had the best graphics, which game had the best.
I think you spent the year struggling to work out what ray tracing was.
Thank you very much. And so we have lumped in basically what game did we enjoy looking at the most this year?
Because they...
way that works, because they are
to be looked at.
Thank you.
No, to be looked at it.
Yeah.
And can I say that while we're talking about visual design,
Yeah.
you look like a man who's just consumed a whole bunch of chicken and tried to slink back into a chair like nothing happened.
I've got the chicken sweats going on.
You can hear it in my throat.
Yeah.
Chicken sweat.
Yeah.
If this award has any less of the gusto that's been in the previous ones, blame it on oily chicken.
Yeah. I'm like
Heavy.
I'm like the Big Lebowski. It's just all right. So this is another one of the favored list categories. We've got a list of nominees. We need to chop it down to 5. We could be here for hours. The nominees for the games that to be looked at are The Last of Us Part 2, Half-Life Alyx, Hades, Godfall, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, Cyberpunk 2077, Ghost of Tsushima, Paradise Killer, Demon's Souls, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and Flight Simulator.
We got to be brutal now. No long discussions about the ones we're cutting. We just need to go, this is out, it goes.
I mean, I would argue Cyberpunk...
I'm so sorry.
I would argue Cyberpunk gets cut by technicality. In that...
I mean, it was going to win it for me, but
I love this.
But it doesn't run on half the platforms that it's supposed to run on.
That's not...
Fuck PlayStation owners.
Visual design and graphics, are we... Therefore, is it tech... tech specs and the ability for it to show those graphics? Are we already breaking it down into the minutiae of those categories?
I just feel like it's so... I hate that we're even talking about Cyberpunk at all at this point because it feels like... I feel frustrated that I can't play it unless I buy it twice.
Feel better by killing another one. We'll come back to Cyberpunk.
Yeah, put a pin in it. Put a pin in it.
Let's kill something that you're...
It can't be the first to go on.
Yeah.
You've gone right for the big
Because
jugular.
Pete and I have seen things you wouldn't believe.
We've seen
I've seen
penises off the belt of Orion.
But I was going to say, I've seen those cars not explode into a million pieces because the line is famously they explode. And the car in mine just went boop and didn't explode.
And thanks to the latest patch, most of those dildos are gone. Like tears in the rain.
Tears and rain.
Okay, but let's put a pin in that and come back to that. I would cut Godfall. I think Godfall is very shiny, but I don't think it's doing anything. We got a lot of shiny games on this list.
It's a wet game.
Yeah, fuck that wet game off. Cyberpunk's wet a bunch of the time.
It's also not good design. It's shiny, lots of pointy pieces to it, but it's not like the armor and stuff is quite ugly by the end.
There's
of
a
it.
lot in it.
Everything is going off in that.
Steph, you comfortable with that?
Yeah.
All right, you pick the next one.
Cyberpunk 27.
It could be the second one. I would say Half-Life Alyx goes. Half-Life Alyx, impressive for a VR game.
Yeah.
Not that impressive for a game.
Definitely points for being the best looking VR game, but it still has to run on VR and therefore doesn't look like...
It also can you play Half-Life Alyx on everything or just...
No.
Not Quest.
VR.
It's a Steam VR game.
Yeah.
So it runs on everything but Quest unless you use it.
Does it look good on everything or does it only look good on Steam?
It looks good on.
It
looks good on everything. Look, I would say art design wise as well. You are returning to City 17, which is a cool design, but it is. I mean, it's old.
We've seen that.
We've been in a grey, dystopic, oppressive kind of looking space. So
These are all honourable mentions, even though we're finding bad things about them.
I'm enjoying this. Flight Simulator.
I
great looking game, but
Yeah, I think
like
that's fair. Again, it's like it's a graphic intensive game. It looks beautiful in the right weather conditions.
No, it looks good in every weather condition. Have you it's so?
But it's just a skybox and a plane.
Yeah. I feel like
The ground looks shit.
it does a great
does.
job of like replicating the world
yeah.
and putting a plane in it. But
but it does a bad job of not putting monoliths in Melbourne. And not like
I would almost prefer, and I know this goes against the idea of what we discussed a flight sim should be in terms of just like doubling down on the practical nature, but I would prefer them to kind of like put some ridiculous sky action in there to make it like, wow, this is
More dramatic.
more
Yeah,
dramatic.
yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Sometimes, like, I've picked areas of the world I know and picked sunset and flown over them and just been, like, teardrop impressed. I'm like, this is stunning. And it's photorealistic. But,
Yeah.
from a design
but also, I
perspective-
mean, it's like, by the way, when you say that, all I thought of is you're like, the Aurora Borealis.
This time of year.
It's just the whole world is there. I agree. Like, this is the category that if, like, a Forza came out this year, I think that you put Forza in this category. But for us, like, I don't know, like, I'm always, like, impressed at how good it looks, but I'm never, like, impressed because I'm like, this is what you do. You just make shiny reflective surfaces. That's all you have to do. You've done it very well, but, like, there's no design to that.
I agree. And again, honorable mention. by
Honorable
Flight
mention.
Sim.
Honorable
All right.
mention. Get rid of it.
how many more do we
I'm
need
going to say The Last of Us 2 has to go. Oh, shit. But only because it's in amongst a lot of other spectacular looking games. The Last of Us 2 is beautiful in, like, again, we've talked about it in storytelling. Go and watch that video if you haven't yet. But the performance capture is excellent, and the way that is rendered in the game is as brilliant. But I would say that's more of a technical achievement, and I think it is a beautiful game. It is stunning in parts, but it also is depressing by design. And I don't think it is in the top 5 looking at this list of a unique design.
I would argue that the first game was more unique in its aesthetic or style. I've got to stop saying aesthetic, but like in going for an overgrown nature has taken back reclaimed style. I didn't feel it as much with this one. I mean,
I think that's just
definitely
because
Seattle
I think
was
you're
like that, but-
because you're used to it.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
prepared with what the world has to offer.
Yeah.
Look, I agree with all of you. I feel like it's not doing anything particularly new. I think it was just like a beautiful game to come out at the end of the final
totally.
generation of console hardware. I feel, honorable mention surely,
Yeah.
because it's just
Very
it was
honourable,
so
yeah.
beautiful
Yeah.
riding through some of those forest sequences on horseback.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Get rid of it. Get rid of it.
Bye.
Oh, this is exciting. Holy shit, I'm liking
What are we down
this
to?
list
2,
already.
4, 6,
We need to
7.
ditch
We got to
two
get
more.
2 more out
Two
of
more.
there.
Okay.
Paradise Killer, I don't think is good looking enough.
Get the fuck out of here.
It's not good looking enough.
Dude,
It's like flat art.
to be looked at?
That shouldn't be an issue.
It is.
It is an issue.
Because that's what I'm going to say is that the thing about Hades that's amazing is that the combination of like an interesting looking isometric game, I've jumped across to this, but the design of all those characters drawn, doesn't matter that they're flat. They are beautifully
Yeah, but I
illustrated.
think that's correct about Hades and even Ori, which is like 2.5D.
Yep.
But it is not true of Paradise Killer, which is ugly but stylish.
Yeah, and doesn't look like anything else. Like, I love Ori.
Yeah.
But that would be the next one that I cut because it looks like the last Ori. It
Yeah,
looks
I'm
better
okay.
than the last
And
Ori.
I think it's
I'm okay
pretty.
with it
I
as
think
well.
it's pretty and it's graphically nice, but I don't feel like I look at it and be like, oh, this is something that I haven't seen before.
I think you kill Ori and Paradise Killer and you got yourself a bloody list.
I think
get rid of Assassin's
Paradise
Creed
Killer. To Paradise Killer, I say this.
No.
That's that character.
Yeah.
That's all.
So delete Ori if we're all happy with Ori.
Well, here's my thing.
He's trying to
Here's my thing.
I will die on this hill.
I will die on this hill.
Well, you're living up to the word for sure.
Where do we all stand on AC Valhalla?
I would get rid of that over Paradise Killer.
See, I would get rid of that over Ori.
I would.
Oh god.
Yeah, and I'm making this even more trickier.
And
I think Paradise Killer can go, and then I think I would follow that up with Valhalla.
I would compare it to. Again, I have had the fortune of playing it on a 3080, but it is or 3090. It is
Which game?
Assassin's Creed Valhalla. It's beautiful.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Did it-
it's stunning, and I feel like the way that they've created these beautiful open world landscapes and vistas and the changing of the seasons and the light and the sunset. Like, it's just, in terms of like the games are to be looked at, this is the game that I want to spend time in because it's so beautiful. And it's,
I would say...
So then would
such
you...
a beautifully rendered world.
Yeah. But like I would say, looking at the list that we have, Ghost of Tsushima and AC Valhalla are similar in their worlds. And Valhalla has the fortune of being a more recent release and being on not just the PlayStation hardware.
From everything
it's tough. Valhalla, I would say, is graphically
more impressive, but
Ghost
not
of
as well
Tsushima is better designed.
From everything I've seen,
particularly
just
with the lack of HUD, the color palette they've chosen, and the wind.
Yeah. So if you had to pick a game to look at, if you were like, if someone who had never played games walked in and you said, I want to show you what games look like these days.
I spend more time in Ghost of Tsushima.
I would say that
mode.
definitely. And again, having only played a couple of like sort of 4 or 5 hours of Valhalla and not playing Ghost of Tsushima, I don't go into Valhalla. It's shiny, it's reflective, it's beautifully, it's well realized, it looks realistic with elements of stylization, but it doesn't scream like this has been designed.
Yeah.
I could forget
It's
what game
just
I'm
a
in.
bigger, broader world, I guess.
Yeah.
It's such an impressive take.
I'd prefer to leave Ghost of Tsushima on there.
So
because
can you do me a favor? Are we agreeing that
Paradise still has to go?
Killer is
Yeah.
gone.
Wait, what was it? Just slow the fuck down, everybody. Are we agreeing that Hades is on this list?
Yeah.
Yes, but that's like...
I have no opinion.
I don't have an opinion about that. I think I think the art is good, but I haven't seen enough. I think it looks, from not playing it, it does look a bit messy at points. Like, I know all the art is done.
Yeah.
But that's the point of the game. It is a messy game. And it makes sense when you're playing it. It doesn't make sense to look at.
I think that's purely just the isometricness and the idea of like you're controlling this character in all these directions.
Yeah.
That
And you can expand those weapons to have like crazy AoE effects and like visual effects that.
But when you're playing it, you always know exactly where you are and what you're doing.
Which is a testament to its design. I think it's like you can still keep yourself focused on.
And you
what
can
you're doing.
you can see an art asset moving across the screen that you know is the dagger from that character, and you don't need to actually look at it. You just know what it is.
So then are we saying, because what I'm looking for here, I'm looking for games that are locked.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering then if Ghost of Tsushima is.
Yeah.
Because we've all said,
Ghost of Tsushima is locked for me.
do we feel like it's locked?
And
Okay.
if you're-
I have so many screenshots, so many photo moments.
and you're iffy on Valhalla, I'm pretty adamant that I don't want.
So can you move Ghost just to, can we put like one side to the other, like
Yep,
that
yep.
we just have a bit of like, we know who's
Well, the left
fighting?
will be.
The left will be locked?
Yeah, let's go with that. So. We haven't really.
We haven't spoken about Demon Souls.
Because I think we all agree Demon's Souls deserves to be in the top 5.
Agreed.
I agree.
Sure.
No?
I mean,
No?
I guess, it's not an art style that I
sure.
enjoy.
Yeah.
But I get that it looks really beautiful and and is an update of an already beautiful game.
I kind of love that nightmare aesthetic and like that. I know what you mean. It is darker.
Just
It
the
is
character models and the way they move and everything in the world. I get there's a very dark fantasy, but I don't know, something about it I've never enjoyed.
Yeah, well, I guess I would put it in, because I agree, and it's not actually the best Souls game for like showing off different areas as well. It's very underground.
Yeah.
And so it's like it's all a bit one note throughout, which is a fair criticism. It is a very crisp one note.
Does it have an Anolondo? Doesn't really, does it? Doesn't have that like it's
It has,
three.
definitely has moments of beauty. Like
Sure, but like 2 had that. Dark Souls 1, I should say. 3 had that amazing ghost. Like there were these moments where that just made you go.
There's the prison is
epic
like a
fantasy
cool
scale.
design that goes into like
It has
some sort of
jaw-drop-
weird Cthulhu shit that like
yeah. But I'm just trying to be
I would also give it Demon Souls is a difficult one because it's actually an old game.
Yeah.
I think that it looks phenomenal just if we're just talking graphics. I just think like there's just so much detail in that world. But also I would say that it is a game that inspired a bunch of games. Like its art style is actually something that that went on to Dark Souls, that went on to other series of taking that sort of like gothic architecture and putting that into games more as a whole, which is like a different. I don't know whether or not we should quantify that as part of this because that was back in 2009.
Yeah, but it's had its chance to be remade. We're here now. It's in this lineup this year, so I don't think that should forfeit it from being.
I think
for those things you're saying.
I think we can all agree Ori is beautiful and doesn't need to be on this list.
Yeah,
Ori had its time to shine.
It did
a
its
few
dash.
years ago.
I
and
agree.
It hasn't advanced enough. It is still one of the best looking
Platforms.
Metroidvania style games.
Yep.
But
All right, I can get behind.
it doesn't need to be there.
So,
And Paradise Lost.
I'm happy to remove Valhalla in the sense that it's very similar to Ghost of Tsushima, and I think from a design perspective.
But there's no fucking way Paradise Killer deserves to be on this list.
It is
I feel adamantly that it does not deserve to be on the screen, even at the start of this segment.
Wow.
Gus, back me up, Vaporwave boy.
I mean,
There's heaps better looking Vaporwave games. It doesn't look good.
The art style is so striking. It doesn't. I don't think it needs to look good. I think it needs to be and even though I do think it looks good, I think that I look at that game and I'm just fuck yeah!
But no,
I just immediately Jesus Christ, this game slaps.
you're that
straight
guy
up.
who we saw before who just does that the whole time.
Yeah.
Look,
And we established that you were dressed as the game.
I'm dressed as the game. This game may as well have my t-shirt.
I mean, I don't think I have the same positive reaction to it, but I have the same.
I have a very negative reaction.
No, it's not negative. It is fascination with the art style and the blending and melding of all those different styles, which some are that vaporwave messed up kind of old retro digital aesthetic, but then there is a 3D world to it, which then has 2D sprites which are well illustrated. You've got to give it props for throwing everything.
No, it's a fucking
in.
mess.
I mean, yeah,
It does all those things, but that's not good.
I will give it more credit over an AC Valhalla, which is made in a factory. By definition of
By 300 hardworking people made in a factory.
but
it
loses any of its sort of creative vision in terms of being.
Sure, it's more
I
generic.
I disagree. I think it's a stunning game, and it's a world that I just want to spend so much time in, and it feels real and lived in. And
But that's subjective. I don't like a world that feels.
I feel like you aggressively hate Assassin's Creed.
Yeah,
I'm feeling that aggression from you.
He called it a rash.
And I feel like you're building a wall between us with this hatred.
I mean,
you do have a vendetta against AC.
7.
And I found what really puts the dagger in it, and it's an axe.
It's a generic, boring axe from Assassin's.
Look, I could finish that point. I could argue that I'm not attracted to the realism in the same way, but then I played Death Stranding, and I love that for being a bleak, empty, realistic world. So
so you would put in Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Because we're saying that the left 4. Well, okay.
Yeah. I would.
We have the
neon
Cyberpunk discussion to have.
We have the giant dildo in the room.
I need to make it clear that from what I've seen of the PC stuff, it is stunning, and I would totally be happy with it being at the top of the list based on what I've seen from all the PC stuff.
Yep.
The ray tracing, the aesthetic of the world, amazing. I just feel frustrated that we're including it in discussions now and not 6 months from now when they fixed everything.
Interesting.
Because the game, at the moment, can be played by such a small group of people who can afford the hardware to be able to run it.
Yeah.
And I get that that's a lot of people that we know, but broadly as a game, majority of the world that plays video games plays on consoles from the previous generation and cannot play it. And
Well, they can play it. It just doesn't look great.
Yeah, well, I mean,
and doesn't run well as well. It's not.
Well, for a large amount, I'm with you. I think it's abhorrent the way that this has happened. But I do think, I think that that investor
It just
call,
feels weird to ignore that fact and be okay, well, for the PC elite who can play this game, let's give it all of this.
I think it's important to have this discussion. I don't think we're trying to ignore it.
No,
but it's like when Crysis came out. And people were asking, can it run Crysis? It's okay for it to be... I mean, Crysis was a game that was developed properly. Well, was cooked for long enough, I should say.
Yeah, okay.
But Cyberpunk is kind of, in this moment in time, the game where everyone's is my hardware good enough to run this game?
I totally understand that it's not going to look as good on previous generation. No one expected it to, but it needs to run. Like and I'm playing it on next gen consoles and it crashes every 30 fucking minutes.
Yeah.
Like it's stupid.
Yeah.
And I just feel like it feels weird to be including it in this. I'm happy to do it.
I know what you mean. I'm in the same boat, but I feel differently in terms of I'm in the same boat as in I can't play it right now, or what I have booted up on PC runs much less specs than what these guys are running it at. But I don't think that therefore it doesn't get a gimme in the sense that it still has this design behind it. It still has this look that you don't say it doesn't exist entirely because it's in a vacuum. It's like, yes, it's unfair. Yes, it's clunky. Everything that's happened around this has not been the desirable way it should have happened. But the games are to be looked at. And like in this case, it's
Yes,
like
but people-
If you can see them.
But most people can't look at them, is what I'm saying.
I feel like Steph might have a point.
And again, I know the people who have played and enjoyed Cyberpunk, like on PC, have loved it, and I don't mean to tell you that you're wrong in that, because like I said, I would 100% put it at the top of the list. You know, if this wasn't this glaring issue, and that's why I feel like, you know, like the Game Awards only include games that were released up until November or whatever, because they're like, that's what we need to play. So Cyberpunk will be included in the next year. And I feel like then when we have that discussion, everyone can play it, can judge it based on its merit, you know, with their own opinions and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what the solution is, because it's like, it's here, we have it.
Yeah.
We're stuck with it.
Let's talk about it. But like,
Yeah.
I just need to like put that out there.
I guess I'm still willing to give it credit because, like, even as you're saying, I'm not even running it. I'm watching reviews. I'm watching clips on YouTube and stuff. And that's not the way this is meant to be consumed.
It's a game.
But when
That is not the way you're meant to play
But when I see it,
Talk about a film, Angus.
yeah, but when I do see it and I look at the visuals, it just absolutely does everything I love visually in a game and looks so amazingly.
It's like it should win the race, but it's like disqualified, you know?
It broke its leg. It broke its leg at the gate.
That's a moral disqualification, not like it technically runs on some hardware. The game exists.
Yeah.
The game exists and it does run on some hardware.
Well, then put it at the top of the list with a little asterisk next to it,
Yeah.
please.
I think we put it at the bottom of the list to punish it. But, no, you're right. That's a moral thing. That's dumb.
If you can't,
Yeah.
Because I was the same. I was like, is it the middle of the list because it loses points because it doesn't run on the other systems? But you have to judge it based on how it's performing on the things that it works on. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
It's hard.
completely feel. Steph has brought me around to her argument, and I totally get it. But I think that the crime was that they released it for older hardware because it still does run on other things. Like, that the mistake was. It's like if there was a Switch port of it as well.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, you shouldn't. Now you're playing. In the same way that, like, you could say The Witcher is one of the greatest looking games of all time, even though it's on the Switch, and therefore it clearly isn't. Like, just because that hardware. It
just in that case happened to go the other direction, which is that it came out beautifully.
I cannot abide it, but if it has to happen because this video has to end, it can't be higher than 5.
I will take 5, but
I know you will take it.
I want to make.
You were almost willing to.
I
You were
can't
almost willing to throw
believe
Cyberpunk out so you could get Paradise Killer in by default.
That's what this fucking process is. This is Among Us
Negotiation.
in real life.
I can't believe Paradise Killer is on that list and
Bring it up,
Valhalla
Pete.
isn't. That's insane.
How do you feel about that? Because
I mean,
you
I
think it's a
haven't-
disaster.
I haven't
Awful.
played
you hate
it. But
Assassin's
for what I've
Creed.
seen of it, it doesn't appeal to me at all. But
Yeah.
also, that's art is subjective, and
Totally,
I
totally.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
You know, just because it's not a hyper realistic open world Viking game,
If I walked into your house,
it should be excluded.
That's
from
the
the
next category. Hyper-realistic Viking game. Guess what's on the top?
if I walked
Ori.
into your house and you had art of that aesthetic on your walls, I'd be like, I'm not going to ask him about that.
Yeah.
That's a him thing.
Yeah, but I guess it's like because this is a group list.
Yeah.
I would say
I think
that
your energy needs to be in.
the Ghost of Tsushima and Cyberpunk represent the big open world tech phenomenal thing. And I'm with Gus that even though I will say I think Valhalla is gorgeous. I love it. I walk around that world, I'm just like, oh, fuck, this is beautiful. But I feel that way about a lot of games these days. And with Paradise Killer, it was like, I got an erection. At the moment I saw it, I was just like, oh, this is my game. So that's
You are the
so
talking about your aesthetic. You are the kind of guy. If I ever went to your house, I'd expect to walk in and see an Andy Warhol full-color portrait of you, just like on the entry
Of him.
hallway. You know the one that's like the four faces.
Yeah.
You've seen my spare room. Like, extrapolate that out to the rest of that. My house is very tastefully designed. Me in here is horny on main. Me at home is like, oh, what?
There are children present.
Yeah, welcome to freedom.
There's a lot of white furniture though for having 2 kids.
Yeah, I know.
That's
we
a
live
dangerous
dangerously.
game.
Okay, so wait, I'm fine with Paradise Killer at the bottom if that's how we need to like compromise on this
Let's do that.
dumb thing.
I cannot handle it higher.
Well, I'll bring it up, but you can.
I would be so happy. Okay, I'm just going to tell you my list, and then we can argue. I'm going to say Cyberpunk, Hades,
God.
Ghost of Tsushima, Demon Souls, Paradise Killer.
I would put Ghost of Tsushima above Hades.
I probably would too.
Really?
Yeah. But
It was
Yeah.
so beautiful. It was
Yeah.
so beautiful. And the HUD and everything and the photo mode and like I spent so much time. I've never really been a big photo mode person. I spent so much time in that photo mode because everything it wasn't just like they've designed a beautiful world. It was like they've designed a world with an artistic view. Like this is not hyper realism or true to life. This is like an idealized version of
surrealism.
version of Japan that like has a focus on
It's autumn year round.
an aesthetic. It was beautiful.
Yeah, okay. And like stuff of like where you have those fights and it goes into that where I had
one kind of-
I had one in a storm or something and it was just like so dramatically impressive.
Yeah.
Look, I would be fine. Wait, what
Cyberpunk
Gus
at the top.
has built
Yep,
his
sorry.
list.
No, I haven't. I put it in randomly, and then we were moving on from here. Okay. Yep.
And then where do we want Demon Souls?
I feel like Hades could trump Demon Souls.
I think so.
Yeah, personally, I think this sits nicely.
Because I
for
think
me.
Demon Souls is a technical triumph.
Yes, and it
Yeah.
feels nice being cushioned by, Hades being cushioned by it in the sense that we're back
It's
on
also
Mountain.
it's also the game that justified having a current generation of consoles.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's the only one.
Yep.
Which
Yeah,
is crazy
like the
because
only one.
It's crazy because it's older.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know.
It's so weird, but yeah, totally. I feel like I'm super happy with that list.
I mean,
feel
I would-
I feel like if Cyberpunk is on the list, it should be at the top.
Yeah.
It's a weird one, isn't it? Yeah, or it's either not on the
It's
list.
either
or
not there at all because
Yeah.
it's disqualified, or it's at the top. That's how I feel. I operate in extremes.
I'm happy with this. This is a quicker race to getting it organized than.
Yeah, I would put
Expect-
Paradise Killer above Demon Souls because it has a personality.
Nick?
But that's
Nick?
but
And I'm just
Pushing
happy.
you.
I'm just
Yeah,
happy
okay,
we got
fine.
this list down to 4 games.
Okay, so are we in agreement that the games to be looked at for 2020 are Cyberpunk 2077 winning with Ghost of Tsushima, Hades, Demon Souls, and Paradise Killer rounding out the list? That feels.
I feel
Those are
sometimes.
some good-looking games,
I also think going.
aren't they, Pete?
There sure are some good-looking
They
games.
are.
on that list.
Going down this route of rating a list 1 to 5, I think part of that is also like getting a nice little mix. Like you put your champion up the top, but then you mix up your other ones.
Totally.
So you feel satisfied that you've touched. There's some.
This is the
touchstones there,
back
like,
pocket list. This is
Yeah, yeah.
representative
But that list
of all
is-
of
yeah.
us. We are all in this list. Pete is Cyberpunk. Steph is Ghost. You and me are Hades. The 3 guys here are Demon Souls, and I'm just alone in the corner with Paradise Killer.
doing this.
Doing that. All right, what is your favorite game to be looked at in 2020? Let us know in the comments. We'll be back with more awards.